Alright, welcome back to the Coleman BT200X CV clutch install. If you're curious how we got to this part right here, everything disassembled, engine mount in place, motor on top, go ahead and go to my channel and you can find the part 1 to this video somewhere. I don't know how it works very well, but you guys can figure it out, I'm sure. So for this part, the engine bracket is going to go like such. You'll see these brass rivets in the rear section, and then the bracket will kind of overhang over the foot peg tube here. And what this does is it repositions the engine forward, so there's enough clearance between this what is probably somewhat of a structural tube, and also holds the chain guard on. You won't have to cut this off. So that's the bigger difference I'm noticing in this kit here. The other thing too that I would probably do first is I'm going to go ahead and cinch up these 4 bolts here on that hold the motor to the plate. I'll be using a little bit of medium strength Loctite, specifically this Honda Bond here, medium strength. Once I got those 4 bolts, we'll go ahead and just kind of loosely install the other ones from the bottom. The ones that go on the top there in this kit are going to be these ones right here. They're the longer ones. I don't think they need a washer. They should be fine just like that. And then the new bolts, they're a little bit shorter, and I'll be using the pre-existing washers or the factory washers that came on the original bolts. This kit didn't come with them, and it looks like it could use them. It's a nice thick washer, so we'll be installing these from the bottom, and we'll just lightly put them in hand tight so we can still kind of move the motor if we need to once we get the converter assembly on and we have to do some alignment. Alright, so all 4 bolts are on, nuts are on. So now we're going to go ahead and use a 1/4 inch drive 13mm socket to get the nuts on the bottom side, and then we'll use an open end wrench on the top side to hold them. And what you want to kind of do too is, I would say, pull the engine closer this way, so that way it gives the plate a little bit more clearance, because I do know it kind of touches the engine plate right here, and I don't really feel like cutting or grinding it down or having to do anything crazy like that. So you want to kind of pull the engine towards you as best as you can while you snug those down. Okay, the motor is now torqued down to the plate, and the plate is still loose to the chassis. I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that until it's time to maybe put on the drive chain for final alignment. That extra little bit of play there will kind of help for aligning it. So let's go ahead and put on the converter plate. So now that everything's kind of tight right there, it does look like the heat shield might be in the way, so might have to experiment and take it off, see if it makes a difference. I kind of feel like it will. Just taking this bolt out right here might make quite a bit of a difference actually, without even maybe taking the whole thing off. Let's see. Okay. So it does look like there's a slight clearance issue, the lower side there. I'm going to mark it, and we're going to have to actually flatten that section out of the engine mounting plate in order to allow this cover to go back, maybe a 1/16 of an inch and actually lay flat against the motor. If not, you'll put the plate under load, and you have spinning components on there, it's probably going to fail eventually, if not quickly. So we're going to have to do that. I'm going to mark it, and then we're going to get the grinder out and remove some material. So it doesn't really look like too much needs to be removed. Maybe about a solid inch or 2. Needs to be kind of shaven down, not very much. Go ahead and block this hole here so nothing gets in. Let's go ahead and set up the grinder and remove some material. I'm assuming after that we shouldn't have an issue mounting this plate up and rocking and rolling from there. Looks like we removed a decent amount, not too bad. See if that makes any of a difference. Okay, so it looks like I need to focus just a little bit more right here, and actually on the corner, because where the new cover mounts, there's a part of the casting protrudes and it's making contact here. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit right here, see if that makes a difference. Alright, I don't think I should have any clearance issues now. Let's go ahead and see how it looks. So I'm wondering if the plate itself is pretty Chinese and warped, the engine itself or the plate. Can't really see there being any clearance issues now. Check with my inspection mirror there. Alright, I think that might have been it right there. I ended up putting the bolt back in just to see. I want to say it's not making that much of a difference, so put it back in. And we're going to go ahead and put this plate on. So these are the new bolts. They're 10mm heads. We're using some medium strength Honda Bond. This is high temp stuff. It's going to be a good application for the screws that go into the engine there. Let's go ahead and apply a little bit to the threads. Okay. Alright, get the 4 bolts in. Just kind of slowly drive them in evenly. Oop. It's kind of stopping. What's going on there? See if we can maybe put that one in by hand. Okay, notice still having a little bit of clearance issues, so took it down just a little bit more, smoothed it out. Thinking that should be it now this time. Okay, took even more off. You can see there I'm starting to cut into it. I almost don't want to go any more. We'll see how it fits this time. I just want to see a nice little air gap between the engine mounting plate and the cover so it doesn't break so quick, because with it against the engine like that and all the forces, it'll break soon. Okay, let's go ahead and check that out now, see if it made any of a difference. Hope it did. Oh, would you look at that? Should be good enough. It's kind of hard to see, but there you go. Nice little air gap right there. just enough vibration, it might touch it, but at least it's not being pushed up against it. So essentially that's what cutting down that plate does. You're allowing this cover right here to sit pretty flush, and looks pretty decent on the heat shield. I mean, I don't think it's touching, is it? Looks like it's not even really touching, almost touching, but not quite touching. Maybe that bolt on the back side, I can't quite tell. No, it's not touching the bolt like I thought it would. Nice little air gap right there. So pretty nice. I'm thinking that should work like that in that position. You can see the axis right there should have a good clearance around this tube here when we put the secondary on and the chain. Hopefully it fits nice. So remember earlier how I said in part 1 I couldn't find any directions? Well, check this out. Schematics. So with this right here, I think I can figure it out. We're gonna do it. We're gonna see what we can do. So all right, let's go ahead and start with the secondary. Okay, secondary. This is the shaft. I'm just gonna want to put a little bit of grease in this area right there, just a little bit. Okay, a little bit of grease. Let's go ahead and slide it through the back side here. Boom. Okay, kind of like that. So do I want to put a little bit of grease? I don't know. If I don't, I'll probably seize. But if you put grease on these components here and it gets on the belt, your belt will slip. You'll have issues if it gets in the weights and the springs. They do have usually a special grease that, you know, like Polaris and Can-Am products use for their primary clutch assemblies, but this is Chinese, and the lubrication, you know, it's probably not critical, so a little grease probably ain't gonna hurt anything. So this is the secondary here. Now, according to our directions, looks like we'll put the sprocket and then 23's washer. So we're gonna go with this one right here. It comes with 2 of them in a kit. We're gonna go with the bigger one. So we'll go ahead and put that right there. Kind of line it up. I noticed it was hard to get it on with the keyway in. Take this keyway here. Just gonna put just a tad bit of grease on the bottom of it so it doesn't get too seized up in there. All right, we'll just kind of slide that in there. Okay, boom. All right, barely any grease, just enough to hopefully keep it from seizing in the near future. So now we'll put on one of these washers right here. It comes with 2 of them. I would imagine maybe that's for like spacing it out. So at this point right here, you can almost kind of judge, you know, how to put where the motor is going to sit with the chain and the sprocket. So I'm going to grab a chain and see how it fits. Okay, so a new chain sits like that. Let's see alignment wise. Right off the bat, doesn't look too bad. Looks like the engine could be pushed out a little to the left. Let's see. Where are we at? Looks like that might be maxed out. So what I could probably do too, probably shim this out. Let's try that. Okay, put a washer on the inside. A little bit better. If there's any play in the chain, it won't want to rub against the cover there. That'll help out. end. I want to say that's a lot better. It looks like it could come out just a little bit, but maybe not. That could just be an optical illusion in the chain. I mean, that's probably about as good as it's going to get. We're not going to the moon, so we're just going to go ahead and set it right there, rock and roll. I'm thinking there's going to be another washer that you put on. So the only other thing, hopefully, too, is we don't have any alignment issues between the primary and the secondary. And that'll be obvious. The belt won't ride right in the sheaves, and when it should be an automatic, it's going to just jump. So we'll figure that out right now. Let's go ahead and keep going. Okay, I noticed the keyway a little deformed or damaged or something, kind of having a little bit of an issue getting the secondary on. But I think we should be able to pull it back through, you know, pull the shaft back into place when we put the nut on. All right, so let's go ahead and put on the primary now. We're just mocking this up to test it out, see what it's going to be like. Okay, another thing you can do is, depending on how corroded your crankshaft end is and your keyway, go ahead and take a little bit of Scotch-Brite, just kind of polish the inside of that keyway shaft there, kind of help putting the new one in. You can also do a light little polish on the crankshaft end, help remove, you know, some of the crud if it's been built up or sitting for a while. All right, so this one has 2 keyways in it, 2 separate assemblies. It's actually 3 pieces if I'm not mistaken. Well, let's find out. Probably be easier to put together that way. Just got done greasing it up.